Hi there, this is Pride Weekly. We'll start with Monday and prepare to put your head in your hands. Transgender people could be legally classified as obscene matter in the US state of West Virginia. Republican Party lawmakers there are pushing a number of anti-trans proposals under the guise of protecting children. It's complicated, but basically the plans incorporate transgender people under the heading of obscene matter. Plus, just existing as trans and being within 2,500 feet of a school would end up classed as indecent exposure. Ash Orr is a transgender activist in West Virginia. They say these moves are just part of a much bigger picture across America.
We are up to 380 bills nationwide that target the LGBTQ+ community. As a reminder, in 2023, we saw over 500 anti-LGBTQ+ bills introduced across the country, with 400 of those bills specifically targeting the rights of the trans community.
Other proposed laws in West Virginia include forcing mental health professionals to carry out conversion therapy on trans people, and no one would be allowed to access gender-affirming care until they're 21. Good grief. For the first time, an out trans woman's met the criteria for the second highest honour in chess. But 36-year-old Yoshia Iglesias from France hasn't officially been awarded the title of Woman International Master yet. She's waiting on final approval from the International Chess Federation. The organisation published some restrictions last summer, saying trans women have no right to participate in its female chess competitions, citing physical endurance and hormone levels. That's been labelled ridiculous and dangerous and might actually fly in the face of various international laws. And a member of the Irish government's come out as gay on Instagram. Jack Chambers says he's proud and it's important for him to be true to himself. He calls Ireland a country that's become much more inclusive, so much so that coming out's now seen as increasingly unremarkable, which is often how I'm described. It's Pride Daily for Tuesday, a gay news special today. Wasn't planned, it's just turned out that way. A married gay couple from the UK are being told they can either split up or go live in Venezuela. That's where George Scott Lee's from originally. He's been in the UK since 2020 and lives with his husband Jack near Birmingham. The pair have been refused a visa for marriage spouses by the Home Office, which says they could live safely together in Venezuela. Jack tells Birmingham Live that's just not true.
All my life I've campaigned for LGBTQ rights, and the right to be married and to be a gay couple. I'm really proud of that. And then to be told that actually we want you to move to another country where homophobia is rife, as well as LGBTQ attacks are happening on a daily basis, and to have those rights taken away from us is just unspeakable.
Same-sex marriage isn't legal in Venezuela. An online petition asking the Home Office to reconsider has topped 800 signatures. A gay Jewish sperm donor claims he's been dumped by a lesbian couple because of the Israel-Gaza war. Jay Lazarus from Perth in Australia says the pair from Queensland backed out, citing ethical challenges. The hairdresser reckons it's because of messages supporting Israel he's posted online. They were over a year into the donation process, and Jay had counselling and health checks. And a gay dentist in America is donating 10% of his practice's profits to finding a cure for HIV. Robert McKernan runs Big Gay Smiles in Washington, D.C., and his work elsewhere sees him mainly treat patients living with the virus. As a Mormon, he was expected to hand over a tenth of his earnings to the church. They expelled him when he came out, but he's kept the 10% thing going to benefit HIV research organisations. It's Pride Daily for Wednesday. A man who threatened to slaughter LGBTQ+ people has been sentenced to 2 years in prison in the US. The queer advocacy group The Human Rights Campaign was left a voicemail last March by Adam Michael Natina from Howard County in Maryland. He said, "We'll slaughter you, we'll cut your throats, we'll put a bullet in your head." The 34-year-old's threats came the day after a school shooting in Nashville carried out by a transgender man. Local residents in Howard County told the WJZ channel at the time they were shocked.
It's horrible. I don't think that it should ever get to that point.
That is one small percentage of a large percentage of people here that will not and do not accept that train of thinking.
Natina also admitted leaving other threatening messages. His trial judge said, "You have the right to your own opinions, but free speech doesn't include violent threats against others." At least 3 transgender people have been killed in Mexico in the first 2 weeks of this year. The latest was on Sunday, when trans activist and politician Samantha Gomez Fonseca was shot in Mexico City. An additional 2 cases are being investigated. LGBTQ+ people are often targeted in the country. A demonstration in Mexico City seen Trans Lives Matter spray painted on the walls of the National Palace. Protesters had signs saying, "Your hate speech kills." And for the 3rd time in as many days, we're using the phrase openly gay. So let's turn it into a drinking game. Shot glasses at the ready. Huang Ji has become the first openly gay lawmaker in Taiwan. Shot. I'm on Archer's peach schnapps. The 30-year-old's in the Democratic Progressive Party and got just over half the vote. She came out publicly last year. Taiwan became the first country in Asia to legalise same-sex marriage in 2019. It's Pride Daily for Thursday. Looks like the person behind a mass shooting in an LGBTQ+ nightclub in America that left 5 people dead will avoid being executed. Anderson Lee Aldrich is already doing life in prison over the attack at Club Q in Colorado in 2022. It's now led to 74 hate crime and gun charges, with the potential for the death penalty. However, it's thought the 23-year-old, who identifies as non-binary, has agreed a plea deal to rule this out in return for admitting guilt on the latest charges. Joshua Thurman survived the shooting and told 9 News at the time he managed to hide.
I ran to the dressing room where the drag queens change and get ready for their performances. We closed and locked the doors, we got down on the ground, and we cut off all the lights. I'm thinking, like, at any second, this man could just bust through the door and kill us if he really wanted to.
19 people were injured at Club Q. Aldrich, who's 23, is serving multiple life sentences with no chance of parole. A private hormone clinic for trans young people is the first to be approved by England's health regulator. As things stand, there's a 5-year wait for those questioning their gender identity to get a first appointment from public health services. Of course, they'd have to pay to use the Gender Plus clinic. It's been approved by the Care Quality Commission to prescribe hormones to over 16s. And Vladimir Putin's been smearing gender-neutral toilets. He claims they're the reason many Russians who've left the country are now returning. The president says the toilets are hard to accept for what he calls people with traditional, normal human values. I reckon if Putin had food poisoning and the nearest loo was unisex, he'd change his mind. It's Pride Daily for Friday. Lawmakers in Idaho in America want to save their children from the LGBTQ+ abyss by banning books featuring 2 people of the same sex holding hands. This kind of homosexual act wouldn't be allowed in literature in schools and public libraries. Also includes other forms of outrageous, depraved filth. You might want to cover your ears. We're talking same-sex kissing and hugging. Republican politicians in the state have pushed the proposals through to the next stage and a vote on the ban. Isabella Burgess is an associate librarian in Idaho.
It is absolutely essential that we have books that represent every member of our community that are accessible to every age range. In addition, gay people will not go away. You cannot erase us with this bill. We have always been here. There will always be families with 2 moms or 2 dads seeking out literature that represents them. This
fears libraries could end up owing thousands of dollars in legal fees and go bankrupt. An attack on a trans woman in Namibia has left her with a fractured skull. Stacey Lapworth's in intensive care. She was also sexually assaulted. The 30-year-old was attacked by 2 men at a truck stop in the city of Walvis Bay. They've been charged with attempted murder. Stacey's been misgendered and dead-named by the media in Namibia. And a pro football player in Spain's pushing back against some recent advice for LGBTQ+ supporters from FC Barcelona. Ahead of a Spanish Super Cup game in Saudi Arabia, fans planning to attend were warned, be prudent and discreet and avoid indecent behaviour. Homosexuality is illegal there and can sometimes lead to the death penalty. Osasuna player Ruben Garcia says the warning minimises queer people and it blows his mind a man liking another man isn't normalised. Reckons if a teammate came out as gay, he'd be delighted. Please spread the word about Pride Daily on your socials or even face-to-face like the olden days. For every new listener this leads to, 3 kittens are born. Aw. I'm Kev McGrath. See you Monday.